Could you make the chorus line? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Broadway Breakdown.
I keep forgetting that we have our own intro now.
Yeah,
for
you have
Broadway
an
Breakdown.
intro. You have an
This is
intro.
great. I'm 123 Jackie B, and with me is hashtag James Lott Jr.
That's right. Oh my God, it's me, hashtag James Lott Jr. I'm here, Miss
And
Jackie.
He's got this fabulous outfit on because Chorus Line is one of his favorite musicals
it
of
is.
all time. Just love this outfit. If you're an audio listener,
Yes.
Go to the YouTube video just to check out James's fabulous outfit.
And if you don't, we'll post a picture on the page.
Yes, we will. We will. We took a picture today.
I'm taking the hat off now because it's a little hot, but I just want to show I have the hats. I'm put up front.
It's fabulous.
Yes. Thank you.
I love this song too.
This is just
You
the best.
know
who.
So before we break down, we're gonna do our BroadwayWorld.com articles.
Yes, of course, yes.
Brought to us by Robert Diamond.
Yes.
So the first one is Jersey Boys, which you wanted to talk
Yeah, it's
about.
interesting because I was just reading this actually the other day about this. Jersey Boys is, if you have not seen it, I don't know if you ever seen a production of it.
I've seen the movie.
You've seen the movie, okay. I've seen some live productions of it, a couple of companies, and it's such a great, about Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. It's based on that. It's such a good show. And Mark Ballas from Dancing with the Stars is going to join it as it's ending its 11-year run.
I have a little Mark Ballas anecdote.
Please.
I love him, and this is because on my birthday several years ago, I went to the Den, which is kind of like West Hollywood-ish.
Yes.
And he was there with some other Dancing with the Stars people, but he's my absolute favorite. So I was super drunk, and I ran up to him, and I was like, I love you, Mark Ballas! You're my favorite on Dancing with the Stars! And I'm like hugging him and stuff, and like, I'm sure he thought it was like, if I was I was him, I would be like, this is disgusting. But he was so sweet and so nice. And he was like, what's your name? Jackie, happy birthday.
Oh my God, how nice.
Yeah, it was really sweet. So I have to say, not only should you check him out in this, but he is a stand-up guy.
Oh, that's
He's
very
such a
sweet.
guy.
That's very sweet. He's a guy who actually sings. So if you guys don't know this, I actually have some of his songs from throughout the years. He's put out rock songs, dance songs, kind of R&B-ish hip-hop songs. He's actually a singer. So he's a singer and a dancer, and he's done some acting. And so the production is ending Sunday, January 15th, 2017, after 4,642 performances. Jeez and crackers. At the August Wilson Theater on West 52nd Street. That's in Broadway, in the hole right by Times Square. It's all right over there. I love Broadway so much. I love New York. I love Broadway. I always go to a show every time I go there. I love it. So it's going to be ending. So you want to go see him. He's going to be in it. He's going to be doing this. So he actually will start Tuesday, October 18th. So next month. He'll be starting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so
we do
now
that.
our Babs news.
Now, Babs, yes,
news.
okay. First of all, Barbra Streisand is my #1 performer of all time. I'm a huge fan. I finally saw her in concert a couple of years ago. I missed her this time around, but I saw her a couple of years ago and I wept like a baby.
Aww.
She was at the Hollywood Bowl and I just cried. I cried. I was so happy. I had some old lady holding me. She's like, you like her? And I'm like, yes, I do. I love her. And she just held me. She's like this big black man. She just held me. She was great. And Barbra's just great. But Barbra has made history once again. Her album, Encore, Movie Partners Sing Broadway, and she actually she sings with movie actors. She has a song with Jimmy Fox, which is really good. And her version of At the Ballet was with Daisy Ridley and Anne Hathaway. And my little side note before I tell you what the news is.
I didn't even know Daisy Ridley could sing, but
Me neither.
Since she's brand new, I guess we're just discovering things about
I didn't know,
her.
and she doesn't sound bad. Anne Hathaway, we know she can sing, so she can sing. At first, I wasn't sure about the arrangement of At the Ballet, because it's one of my favorite songs of Chorus Line. And Barbra kind of sings most of it. And she should. She's Barbra Streisand, so she's bad. Exactly. She can do whatever she wants. So so it took me a minute to kind of get the arrangement, because I've heard, of course, the arrangement on the album and, of course, in the movie. I was like, oh, this was not really all three ladies. It's mostly Barbra, the other two. But now I love it. Now I'm hooked. But her album reached #1. It is she's had an album #1 every decade. This is crazy.
6 decades.
Yes,
and
from
you
the
know
60s.
what's funny is because I think Cher is a front runner for almost the same.
Yes, yeah, she's close
but
too.
But she's only had them in 5 decades.
5, yes, that's true.
And if you want to see a horrible Cher impression, I will be doing one later on our Drag Race show.
On our sister network, AfterBuzz TV. Yes, you want to watch her. You want to do it. Because Homegirl is 74 years old. And she is now the female with the most #1 albums.
She's older than Cher, too, so that is also
slightly older,
why.
yeah. And her albums, okay, they were, let me just tell you, People in 1964, The Way We Were in 1974, great film. A Star Is Born soundtrack in 1977 with Chris Christopherson. I love that whole movie. Barbra Streisand's Greatest Hits Volume 2 in 1979. This next album was produced by Barry Gibb of the Bee Gees, and I loved it. Guilty in 1980. Woman in Love is one of the best songs on earth. The Broadway album, 1986, I remember when that came out, that was a huge thing. She was back to Broadway, because in the 60s, she was all Broadway. So let's see, we got back to that. Higher Ground in 1997, which has a duet with Celine Dion called Tell Him. Those voices together, it was crazy. Love Is the Answer in 2009, and of course, Partners in 2014. So congratulations to Miss Barbara. That's amazing.
Fabulous.
It's just good for her. Good for her. I mean, good for her.
So we have the possibly first Broadway revival of My Fair Lady at the in collaboration with the Lincoln Center. They're thinking of casting Colin Firth as Henry Higgins.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Either Carey Mulligan or Anne Hathaway as Eliza Doolittle. The reason I say thinking about is because they haven't secured the rights.
Oh.
Which to me is like,
Well,
I did a record scratch.
Yes.
And I was like,
Yeah, you couldn't do that first.
Right. I work in television. That's my normal day job, and that's the first thing we do.
Right.
Like you don't start doing anything before you secure the rights.
Yes, exactly.
Because otherwise you wasted a lot of money.
Right.
You're talking to all these actors. You waste
Right.
a lot of time, a lot of money, and then all of a sudden it's like you don't have the rights. What?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. That's kind of.
But I can also understand where it's like maybe they want it so badly. They're like, look, if we attach all these people, it'll happen.
Then it has to go through.
It doesn't always
No, it
work,
doesn't. No,
you know?
it doesn't.
So anyway, Chenoweth is back to Broadway. Kristen Chenoweth.
We love her.
I love Kristen
I want her to be my
Chenoweth.
BFF. I want to meet her so bad.
I love her, and I can do I do my own
Oh, really?
better than my Cher impression, Chenoweth impression. But it's more of a Cheno from Wicked impression. Where she's like singing her popular song. She's so popular. But I saw her live at the Hollywood Bowl, and now she's doing her own show, which is called My Love Letter to Broadway. This is going to be November 12th to the 13th of this year. So it's a limited show, and she's performing musical theater favorites, including music that's from her upcoming album, The Art of Elegance. I don't think that album has come out yet because I actually ordered it and I haven't.
Yeah, it's not out yet, but it's coming out.
I haven't gotten the pre-order
Yes.
notification yet. It's going to be at the Lint-Fontaine Theater, and the costume design, I thought this was interesting, is Christian Siriano, who
Project Runway.
Yes, he won season 4, I believe, of Project Runway, and I've been following him ever since. I was so obsessed with him on that season. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, he has his own really good fashion.
He just had a show that got really good rave reviews. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not seen
New York
that.
Fashion Week just happened, and he had good reviews on the show.
But he also dresses a lot of celebrities,
Yeah.
and if you follow him on Instagram, he has tons of wonderful pictures. So I can imagine the costumes are going to be amazing.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah.
And then the final news is the Glass Menagerie revival with Sally Field as the mother.
Oh, wow.
Joe Mantello, who I assume the article didn't exactly say who he was playing. I assume he's playing Tom. And then Finn Whitrock, I assume, is playing Jim, the gentleman caller.
Okay, yes.
And then we have a new actress, Madison Burns. I can't read my own handwriting, but I think that's what it says. As Laura, or the girl who has blue roses, or pleurosis.
Finn's a good actor, you guys. He's good.
He is
amazing actor. So
so
he'll be good. He started out on Soaps. He was on All My Children, but then he went on to, of course, American Horror Story and all that stuff.
Yes, he was in that Angelina Jolie film about the pilot who was shot down.
I'm blanking on the name of it.
I'm blanking on the name too. And then he was in American Horror Story, and he was so good on that season. And so that's going to start February 2017. It's directed by Sam Gold, who directed Fun Home. And he also directed, I guess, a Dutch version of the Glass Menagerie that won rave reviews. So he's bringing on
Dutch folks. Okay,
he's bringing on a lot of the people from his his Dutch team, I should say, his Dutch production team.
As my Dutch grandfather would say, it ain't much of it ain't Dutch. So all the time.
I love that.
And it's Grandparents' Day, so I have Grandfather's Day, so yes.
Oh, happy grandparents.
Yes, I'm a grandparent
Day.
myself, so that is.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So thank you. I just want to say hi to Brianna's in the chat room. She's in the chat room right now.
Oh.
So Brianna, we love you.
Brianna had surgery, so
Yes.
please send her all of your well wishes.
Brianna Phipps 14.
We're missing her today, and we're hoping she'll be well enough for the next episode. She may or may not be, but send her all your love.
Please do.
Regardless.
Please do.
So my question is,
Yes.
you are such a huge fan of Broadway in general.
Yes.
So for this to be one of your favorite shows, that's big. That is big. So can you tell me why this is your favorite show?
That's a very good question. You've done this before. No, we used to work together on a show, so I know how good she is.
Under the Dome. If you want to go back and look.
Hashtag Domies forever. With our girl, Manafield's Bennett, I miss her too. Okay, so why is my favorites? It has heart. This show overall, I love behind the scenes stuff. I'm a huge documentary person, and in a weird way, this musical is a documentary to me.
It is.
Because it really does go behind the scenes of how do you make it on Broadway.
It's a performer's. When I was watching it, I was like, this is a performer's play. If I can see. Being a performer, it's hard for me to put myself in that position of like, what would someone who's not a performer think of this? But as a performer, I'm like, this is so exciting to me because you're seeing an aspect of theater that maybe not everyone would see. It was a little bit like a weird comparison here, but a little bit of comparing it to that TV show Extras with Ricky Gervais.
I like that show actually.
It
Great
totally
show.
even though it's not raunchy like that.
Right, yes.
But it totally gave me that moment of you're seeing something that like most performers experience at some point in their lives before they become whoever they are. So that's why I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, for me, because I'm a fan of Broadway, the story has to interest me first. It really does. I can hear a song or two from the soundtrack and go, I like the song, but I may not be into the story, then it won't be one of my favorites. This one, story and songs, just really hit me hard. They were really strong. It was very contemporary, yet it had a feel of just universal feel. And I just could relate to it because then the cast was so diverse. Older, younger, Black, Latina, gay, straight. It was like, I don't know, I'm a sucker for dance in unison. I'm a sucker for emotion. And this one just really, I saw the original I saw it in 1977. I was a kid, and I completely was mesmerized. That's why it's one of my favorites.
You know what's interesting to me is people, I watched Rent before I watched Chorus Line, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I didn't really know much about Chorus Line until the revival, which wasn't until 2006. Okay. And, you grew up, Rent was like huge when I was a kid.
It was huge. Yes, it was huge.
And so it's interesting to me watching Rent, which had a very diverse cast, which to me kind of like was the tipping point of starting to get people in tune to like diversity casting in theater. And I watched this and I was like, why don't people talk about Chorus Line? Because it's not, granted, it's not going to be as diverse as Hamilton. It's not as diverse as Rent, but it makes a point of actually talking about these people's backgrounds to the point where you cannot cast a person in certain roles in this play unless they fit that background, like because you have Puerto Rican characters, you have African American characters, you have a Chinese character, and so they talk about that in their monologues, and you can't replace that with a different actor.
No, and it's funny, and Brownie just said in here, I think as not a performer, it would be interesting to see what they go through. You get a taste of what they go through.
Yeah.
A glimpse in. Everybody likes a glimpse in.
Right.
They all do. So I think it's why it's very voyeuristic.
Yes.
Which is in a fun way. I agree with you on that. And Rent was big. And I saw Rent. I loved it. And I saw it on Broadway. And it was a great production. The Chorus Line, it was people's dreams. People want to root for underdogs. People want to see people try to make it. And if they don't make it, you want to get invested in them. And this musical does, and the songs really convey that. They match the performers.
Yeah. And one of the things that Brianna mentioned before we came into here was that for some of these characters, it's their last chance to dance. It's their last chance to dance in the chorus, and it's so sad to me because watching it, like both you and I are older than any of these people.
Yeah, I know.
And so I'm watching it, and I'm like, crap, I'm older than the oldest one, which is Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila. Yes.
Who's like, I'm dirt old, and I'm like, but she's not even party.
Exactly right, exactly. But that's a great metaphor, though, in terms of certain industries like ballet, some parts of theater, modeling. There is an age limit that seems ridiculous to us because we're like, there are people past the age of 30 and 40. But that's what we use. And for me, I've casted people and I've also been in auditions. I've done both.
Right.
So I know both, and this is I know both sides of it. I know how it kind of goes. And I'm also older. And as I still go out there to go for things, I can relate to Sheila. I can relate to Cassie a little bit, who feels a little kind of worn out. And things didn't work out for her. We can talk about the characters, of course, and stuff. But this show is so relatable. I think anybody could watch it and get into it. It's very universal.
You know what else I was thinking as I was watching it was the monologues are so good for audition. I was just thinking that. I was like, these are really like good audition monologues. Note to self. Mm-hmm. But they are. They are. And you know, it's interesting to me because a lot of Broadway shows, to me, the dialogue is so sparse between the music, and there's not a lot of monologuing. Like usually when you go to a monologue, you're going to go to a straight play.
Yes. And she'll mean straight
play.
But she means straight, like it's straight up, not straight.
Like, I mean, like without music, not like without queer people, because...
So I just wanted to clarify that, yes.
Right. It's so funny because, like, growing up, we called it a straight play, and now that I'm an adult, I'm like, what is a straight play?
A straight play, yes.
That don't exist.
It's always true. I love it. Oh my God, I love it.
But yeah, I really liked that they have these like very good monologues. So not only do these people have to be triple threats, they have to be singers, actors, dancers.
Yes.
Because they're doing these like intensive character studies as well.
Hello, Jazz 41173 said hi. Looking good, James. Thank you. I'm trying. I did a little. This is all for Jackie. To try it out.
I love it. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Meanwhile, I look like I'm like the. I feel like, what's her name? The girl who can't sing.
Oh my God.
It's a K name. Katerina? Christine,
yes.
Yeah, I feel like her because I love this fact that they get to have a character in there who can't sing because I can't sing either. And I'm like, I love her kind of like quirky weirdo character. Yes. She was my inspiration.
I love it. But yeah, this show, it's oh my God, I love the music. I love everything about it. So that's why I like it.
Well, let's talk about the stage design.
Yes.
We have, again, it's so weird because this is clearly pre-Rent, but Rent was my like framework for it.
That's good. Okay. Yes.
Whereas Rent also has this very like basic set, and like they're going to different here they're all in one location. They're all on
it
the
never
stage.
leaves.
It never leaves the stage. In Rent, they're going to quote unquote different locations, but they're all on that same like very sparse like wire kind of set. And we see it in Hamilton too, where again it's like they're supposed to be in different locations, but they're really on the same. There's no changing of a set piece. I like this because it puts a focus on the actors, and you have to be a really captivating performer.
Oh my God, yes.
To be on a basic set like that, and the set is basically the mirrors.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. The mirrors kind of do this. Do these like cool reflection things to make it look like more or less people, or to highlight certain numbers, but that's it. Like you have to be a good performer.
I
in this
completely agree with that statement. I like that. I like the use of the mirrors because the mirrors, they were a metaphor also. They were a metaphor, and we'll get into it, of course, a little later, but they were a metaphor for how you look within yourself, look at yourself and what kind of performer you are. And because you can't see him, Zach is basically, we say the voice of God, so to speak, or whatever, but he's forcing you to look at yourself and go, wow, this is my upbringing, this is what's going on. So the mirrors kind of play that. Also, they play later, of course, when they do the chorus.
Yes.
They just make it like it's bigger and bigger. And
you know what's funny is the mirrors at some points are menacing, like in that last in the audition number, audition number of one, when he's yelling at Cassie, the dancers get more menacing and the mirrors make it more menacing because it seems like the chorus is like this scary beast almost.
But he's like telling Cassie, come on, girl, do it. Like, come on. Come on. Like, I really do it. And the mirrors are kind of like a menace. I never really kind of thought that before, but they are kind of like a menacing thing because they're there. And in a way, again, it's another metaphor. They're there.
Right. And you know what's interesting to me is I've had, I grew up doing a lot of dance. And so I've had friends that I've like roped into dance classes. I'm like, come on, it'll be fun. And some of my friends are like, why are we staring at a mirror of ourselves the whole time? I'm like, I never really like thought otherwise because I'm like, well, otherwise, how are you going to know that you're doing something wrong? You know, because when you're dancing, to me, having the mirror there is second nature because you're always watching yourself like, oh, I got to move like this or I got to adjust this. But it can also be very humbling, I guess, because when you look at yourself in the mirror, there's the adage of like, oh, like I look like I've gained an extra pound.
Right,
know?
right, exactly.
So,
mirrors are intimidating, period, for a lot of people. And metaphorically and for real. Brianna wants to mention, my mom wants to mention that because of the mirror, sitting in the orchestra is a must for this show. Oh, really? Didn't know that. Okay.
That's awesome.
There must be a certain way they must look when you sit and sing in the orchestra. I just think it just, but a lot of them, like someone said in here too, sometimes shows don't need showy props and stage set. If it, like you said, if it's just the people are good, the monologues are good, songs are good, and you already got the sense that someone's always talking to them and they're on the stage trying to make it. You'll need to go behind the scenes. You'll need to go another room and talk it off. Like, it's great. It's just one basic set and there's no distraction.
That's how you know a play is good. And that's, you know, I'm going to compare it to Chicago, which is, again, this was one of the longest running musicals on Broadway. It was overtaken as like the longest U.S. running musical by Chicago in 2011, which is interesting to me because Chicago is dance heavy.
Very dance heavy, yes.
It's focused on the characters again, and it's very theatrical in the same way where it's... Whereas in Chicago, it's more of like theater is more of a metaphor than it is here.
It's very theatrical.
Yes,
Chicago's
but
very
the set
theatrical.
is also very bare bones.
Yeah, it is. There's nothing
on the set really. Like the production I saw of Chicago, it's just like rafters basically.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw it with Jasmine Guy. She played Velma. So I saw that one years ago. And you're right. It was very bare because like they have the courtroom scenes and the prison stuff, but it was all just like they pull out I almost said a scaffolding. Maybe it was rafters. Yeah. They just pull it out and then that was
that's it. That's it. Yeah. The set is the dancers, just like here, the set is the dancers.
I agree with that. I like that. I agree with that.
I love these characters though. They're such rich characters, and
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
You have 17 people who are auditioning, and it really does show the audition process. You have that number where it's like, I hope I get it. This is like
my favorite songs.
Yeah.
And I want to talk this for a second because as you bring it up, I hope I get it. I still sing it all the time. How many people does he need? How many boys? I always say it because it's one of those things as a person going for something in any genre, even going for a job, if you're going for a bank job, you're hoping, I hope I get it. You're thinking, what do they want from me? And you're kind of nervous about that. And you're wondering, am I going to do well? That song, that's the opening song, that really does capture everybody in any moment.
It's funny because that you say this, that it captures every job, because I've had no jitters before job interviews.
Oh, okay.
I just don't anymore. And I think it's because I grew up auditioning so much that I'm like, if you don't like me, you don't like me. It's like, I don't know what I can do about it, you know? Yeah. And so when you've done, I do think that it's helpful to take a theater class to do anything in life.
Okay.
And I think that would help people, you know, do live talking.
Oh yeah, easily.
It helps people get feel braver for interviews, and that's kind of it. It's weird though because auditions I don't feel as brave as I do in an interview. I don't know, because I guess in an interview they're judging you on you feel
factual.
Like they feel like they're judging you more on you, and it's like I either have this experience or I don't.
Right.
You know, I'm either like the person who's right for the job based on my resume, based on what you see of me, based on what I can say or not, versus theater. I feel like you don't always know what the creative director has in mind, and it could be anything. I've gone into auditions where like you look the same as everybody in the room, or you're like, why am I the weirdo odd one out?
How funny.
And so there are times where I'm like, okay, I get where this director is going because I look like person XBC, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Or you're like, I have no idea. This director like called everybody off the street and just auditioned them. I don't know what's going on.
Jazz says it sets the tone and the tension from the start. It does. It kind of does that also. It kind of sets the tone of the show. Hope I get it. And the thing is, how many do you think how many auditions you've kind of gone in your whole life? Do you think about how many you could even? Has it been hundreds? Has it been?
I have no I can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say you must have been on a lot. You say you've done it since you were a kid.
Yeah, my first professional acting job, I was 11.
Wow.
So since then, it's like I'm much older than 11.
She's 15. She's 15.
I'm 15.
Yes.
I'm older than Sheila.
Google that, how much old she is in the show. Is it? Yes.
I'm older than Sheila, let's just say. So that's been a lot of auditions.
I love that. It's so funny. I love it.
And you know, when you're watching this show, there's also the sense that, like, I guess I'm like, this is how long an audition is too.
No,
like,
no, it is
2 hours or something.
Right.
You know, you're like,
they can go longer.
Yeah, you can be there for that long.
Yeah.
I can remember auditions. I was there for like 5-6 hours.
Yeah, I did audition once. It was like 4 hours. Oh, like it was crazy.
Yeah, and especially in like a chorus line audition where you have like a cattle call and you're
they go 8 hours, 9 hours. They go
you can be there for forever. So.
Yikes! Yes. So here's about the characters. So who you want to start with? You want to start with the big ones, Zach and Kathy? Let's start with them.
Let's start with Zach and Cassie. I love that they have kind of like they reveal that they have a romance later on. She obviously is like a strong character, a strong dancer, and he gets more like personability and vulnerability because of her. Which is interesting to me as well.
Yes, because she comes on, and I said she feels a little worn. They have a past, but I think it was great to connect him to somebody on the stage because that's normal. I think.
Yes.
Because something they've been through, you know, especially in New York and on Broadway. I'm
You're
sure
gonna see the
same people. Well, I'm sure in LA too. I'm sure. I mean, you probably see the same people, but especially in New York and the whole Broadway scene, I'm just pretty sure you see the same people all the time, and you get to know them here and there, and it's kind of friendly, kind of not friendly, I guess, whatever. But I like that they put him kind of with her, and like you said, it kind of humanizes him just a little bit. He's not just a voice off the screen.
Right.
That he is actually a person, because to me Zach represents to me not just the voice of God, but like a father, a dictator.
Yeah.
He represents all these things that we're afraid of,
Yes.
or that really speak to us inside really deeply.
Yeah. I think he starts to get more human as the play is going on because he has that moment with Paul San Marco.
Yes.
And he has his moment with Cassie. So he has these moments where the actor's vulnerability starts to get to him. And because you learned he was a chorus member himself.
Yes. Which many of them, you can't do, you teach or whatever. You kind of thing. You've aged out of it, so now you are the casting person. You're directing. You know
what's funny though is this whole argument that she's like too good for the chorus and she's so fabulous that the chorus like won't have her. I just don't buy it.
Yeah,
and that's because the major difference I think is that if you have a style that people can tell you apart from, that's something that would pull a viewer's look from you, but that's something you've got to work on as a chorus member. And if you really are that fabulous of a dancer, you can fix it. Just having a style doesn't necessarily mean that you're better than everyone else. It just means you're different, and therefore you might get more jobs based on the fact that you're unique.
Right.
But at the same time, I think if you're really that great of a dancer, you can rein it in and you can make yourself look like a chorus number. I had this thing where both my sister and I, when we were in high school, both of us did all these like heavy dance numbers, 42nd Street, things like that.
Okay, yes.
And we both, I don't know what it was or who we trained with, we stick our pinkies up when we dance.
Oh.
And I used to get yelled at it all the time because in the chorus, like, it made me look different. Like that the dance instructor was like, I can see your goddamn pinky from the back row. So I was like, okay, gotta fix that. No more pinkies. But then my sister came along and she goes, I know you're a Borowski, and this is how I know why your pinky is sticking up. And she had the same like affectation that she had to like try and fix as well. But like those little things, they just make you unique.
Yeah,
it's like something you've got to fix. And if you're good and if you're conscious of it, you
can fix it. You can totally fix it.
Like the things that she was doing, like with her head dipping very far back, I'm like, you can lift your head up again. It's
Yes,
not like,
yes, right.
like, it's not like, oh, that makes her better. It's just
Yes.
like, yeah, she's flexible. She
Yes.
can just be unflexible.
Yeah, that's very true. Brianna
So
says,
that was the only thing that like bothered me when I
bothered
was
her.
watching it. I
That's
was
so
like, that's
funny.
not a thing.
That's
You
not a
being
thing.
so fabulous that you're better than everyone else, that is not a thing.
Well,
Because
she-
I can guarantee you tons of these people work hard and they are that
Oh, they are,
fabulous.
and that's the thing about that's the thing about, I'm going to go off my other subject I was going to say, but that's the thing about the chorus. We all, up to that point, we saw the chorus as just nameless, faceless people.
Yes.
They were part of the background. They did all this amazing work in the background. I mean, I used to watch all those Busby Berkeley movies and things. I mean, all this stuff was beautiful. But this actually shows you that they're people, that they have emotions and feelings and certain talents and deficits. It's like you get to see each one for not just the legs that are kicking every 5 minutes at the end of the show. I'm like, you saw them. That's why.
I'm at home, like, after watching it, trying to do those fan kicks again. Like, they're not fan kicks, actually.
They're hard. I can't
They're
do them.
high
I
kicks.
can't do them.
I was like, I wonder if I can do this again. And I'm like, my back is like straining. I was like, yep, too old. Older than Sheila.
Well, you know, I saw the Rockettes. I used to go to a Christmas Spectacular
Oh my
every year,
gosh.
and Radio City was. It's like it's Christmas when you go see them. It's just Christmas, and those kicks. I mean, that's some amazing stuff. I don't know how they do. I don't know how they do it.
Tell us, you know what you said before you came in
Yeah.
here? You were telling me about Every Little Step, which
Yes.
I'm so interested in because
Yes.
a lot of the time when I was watching Chorus Line, I was like, these people had to audition and go through that exact process to be in a play about the audition process.
Yes. So this thing is called Every Little Step. It was. I first saw it on either A&E or Bravo. They had shown it. And it's so good. It's about the revival that comes up, and they actually show the people going through the process of trying to get on a chorus line, and it shows them where they're at home and part of their family life and their boyfriends and girlfriends, and they really capture New York City. To me, chorus line, Rent. There's certain ones in the Heights, which was the other one that Lin-Manuel did. They're all very New York. It's very New York to me specific, even though they're universal in theme and you can
Right.
get into them. But this one shows you just the travel to go from New Jersey into. I have family in New York, so I've done this before. You know, you're traveling on the subway and it's freezing outside. You're trying to get to the audition, and then you're in there and everybody's stretching and flexing. And they give you about 7 or 8 characters to follow, so you get to kind of a through line follow, and a few other people in there too. But you follow them, and some make it, and some don't. And I was sobbing like a baby for the ones who made it and the ones who didn't make it.
Yeah.
My mother and I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and it's fascinating because they really, like you said, you're watching them. Basically, it's a chorus line twice. It's like double a chorus line, a chorus lines. That's what it is. It really is. It's such a great. If you can get a guy on Amazon, you can get it on Amazon. It's really inexpensive. It's so good. It's so good.
Now I have another question for you.
Yes.
So you've seen the original Broadway
Yes, I did.
cast.
Yes, I did.
I watched the 2006 revival.
Yes. And I've seen that also.
And we've seen the movie as well, which we're going to
Yes.
discuss next week.
Yeah.
But Val, the girl who
Yes.
has plastic surgery, who sings the Tits and Ass song,
Yes, Dance
which
Like
is such a fun song and it's so fabulous.
Yes.
But the 2006 cast member, the girl in the movie, neither of them really have big boobs.
No.
And I don't know why it just bothered me so much. And I know dancers don't really have
Yeah,
big
they really don't,
boobs.
yeah.
But like I danced and my boobs are like bigger than those
They're healthy.
girls.
Got some healthy boobs.
I mean, like, not to draw your attention, but they're bigger than those girls. And I'm like,
Yes.
I danced, I have big boobs, and it really offends me that she got, like, a boob job to
Yes.
get, like, a B cup. Why?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. Okay, I have two things I want to say about that. So one, of course, as someone mentioned here, 8 of the I think 8 of the stories were actually real life stories, the monologues. They're based on Michael Bennett, went off of that. So that's really good. That one always killed me because it's a funny song, but it's about a subject that wasn't popular back in the 70s. We didn't talk plastic surgery and boob lifts and boob jobs. That wasn't something, even in the song's like, shh, I'll tell you, it was in the 70s. Part of the song's about that. It's like, I'll let you know where my doctor is, but it wasn't popular. To me, it was ahead of its time, talking about what people will do to stay in the
Get a
chorus.
role, yeah.
To get a role. And it was not, and it's a fun song. It's fun and whimsical and it's cutesy and it's a little naughty, but it's really a serious. You think it's really serious because it's kind of like she went to get some stuff done so she can actually still stay relevant.
Did she have big boobs, though? The original actress?
In the original actress, she did.
Okay. That's all I need to
Now,
know.
I just want to tell you, one of the original actresses on it, and I got to see her, and I didn't realize it was her until I saw Gilmore Girls later, Kelly Bishop.
Yes, she won a Tony.
Yeah, so she was
won a
actually
Tony.
was one of the original. Her and Donna McKechnie were the originals.
She was Sheila.
She was Sheila. They were the originals, and she was a great dancer. But I saw it in Gilmore Girls, like, what? She looked familiar to me. I saw it in Gilmore Girls. I was like, oh my gosh, but the mother in Gilmore Girls for you guys out there.
I had the reverse reaction because I was like reading the list of it won a whole bunch of Tonys among like best musical, best director, best choreography, best score. Best actress for the woman who played Cassie.
Donna McKechnie,
a best featured actress for Kelly Bishop. Best featured actor for Samuel Williams, who played Paul San Marco. But yeah, I had the opposite reaction because I was like, the Gilmore Girls' mom was Sheila!
Rhonda's all like,
or maybe, grandma. Sorry, she's the grandma.
Rhonda's like, maybe she had been flatter than flat before, so there was something big for her. Oh, very funny, Brianna. We talk about that these days. But yeah, no, the girl was a little larger in the original production. So there was kind of, and things were a little more natural back then anyway, back in the 70s. People were a little more, I mean, dancers were still slender and that kind of stuff, but there were a little more curves and things back then that were allowed that nowadays they don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll talk about when we get to the movie, but seeing the progression of like looking at what the Hollywood Bowl cast looked like and then looking at the 2006 revival, I was like, those people to me look more like people in that are in chorus lines, not in the movie, in the show, a chorus line, but people that are in chorus lines, the bodies are a little bit more diverse. It's not just like skinny models, which is how I felt about the movie.
I saw a company version of it in San Francisco. I want to say in 2008 or 9, and same thing. It was they were more realistic. The actors, they were in the chorus line of a chorus line. They were a little more realistic.
I think another one of my favorite characters is Diana, the other Puerto Rican. I love her song about her acting class and how
Nothing. I love that song. It's a great song. And about San Juan, I'm half Puerto Rican, so of course I was able to relate to her immediately when I saw the show. It's like, oh, Puerto Rican, because again, that's very New York. People in California were like, what are Puerto Ricans? Like, they didn't know what we were. It's like, they don't know what that is. They knew Mexican, they knew Central American. They're like, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Cuban, what's that? It's very East Coast. So the fact that Michael Bennett included that in this, I was like, oh, that makes it more New York. And Puerto Rico's a small island, and she tells the story so well about the ice cream and everything. But like, it's a great song.
It's really a great song. And then her friend is the other Puerto Rican, Paul San Marco, who changes his last name to an Italian last name. And then they have this cute little exchange where Jacque is like, well, you think you look less Puerto Rican but more Italian? You know? It's interesting, though, because New York, when you think of like the 70s, they had, not that New York has ever not had a plethora of Italians, but it's just like the Italians, it's interesting when you look at the history of racism in America. People were very racist about Italians, and then you have new people coming in, you have Hispanic people coming in, and then they start to be racist against Hispanic people. And it's interesting to me how you just have these large groups of people that are migrating to the U.S., and just because they're new there, all of a sudden it becomes like, well, now you're the person that we're going to be racist
I can tell you for a fact, because like I have family in New York, and I can tell you that the Italians were called names I will not say, that were similar to black people, because they were darker and skin tone, and they had curly hair, and it was this whole thing, and it was like, you're right, they were totally attacked. And so, but then, when the influx of Dominicans and Cubans and other Caribbeans come up, which we come in every shade and color and size, some are lighter skinned and can go, oh, well, I don't want to really be Puerto Rican. That's why I thought I relate to that story too. I'm going to go with another last name that's so kind of different, and not like Martinez or something.
It was, and then it was so interesting to me that he picked Italian, because I was like, now in the 70s, we've reached this era where it's kind of less racism against the Italians, to the point that that's what you want to be, you know? And
it's still sad. It's all sad.
Yeah, it's all sad. It's all like sad. There's a lot of what I think people today don't realize, that because we have new people that the world is racist about, that the world was racist about different groups of people at different times, you know?
It's very true. Very, very true. And just, it's funny, in certain areas in New York, it was very, you couldn't go to certain areas. But the 70s in New York was very dangerous. Early 80s was very dangerous. Giuliani did kind of clean up a little bit, so it's a little different now. But there are parts that I couldn't even go to when I used to go visit. You can go to Hell's Kitchen and those places. They were all near Broadway, actually. There was like 8th Street, 8th Avenue, and that way you could go that way. Now you can. Now it's like the hot spot, and it's very gay these days.
It's also interesting to me, speaking of very gay, was Paul San Marco's his drag race. Oh my God, I've got it on the brain. His drag story, where he he was so ashamed of dressing up
Yeah.
like a woman, and then having like struggling with like this effeminate versus masculine.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me too, because I think because of Drag Race, drag has become much more mainstream.
Oh, completely.
So back then, it like, I don't think parents knowing that their son is gay and a dancer would be as shocked versus
Well,
then.
I can tell you right now. I can tell you because obviously I'm from that time period. I can tell you there were shows like Casa Fall that was like specifically straight people could go there,
Right.
and see a specific show,
Right.
like a night of it. Your son dressing in those clothes or even wanting to express that was not acceptable. You have to remember, being gay was considered a sickness until 1972 or 73 by the National American Association. So it was kind of like, it was considered this weird thing. So his story, I didn't really relate to it till later.
Yeah.
Until I came out a little later. But when I saw it later and later, I was like, oh, now I get what he's talking about. I mean, I thought his monologue was good when I saw it the first time, but I didn't really get it
Right.
until later. And drag right now is just so, I mean, it's so ubiquitous at this point. The praise to RuPaul for kind of bringing that out. Because when I started going to drag bars in the 80s, it was like this underground thing still.
Yeah.
It's like we all went to them. They sang Dolly Parton and, you know, it's like all these figures.
Meanwhile, like I can
Right.
remember at my college, which I'm even several years out of college at this point. But at my college, I can remember we had drag pageants just like at the college. It was like a big part of the college. And so it's interesting to me that like even what I think is like a little bit far in the past for me is still like it was an accepted thing at that point. So do you think that this show, one of the reasons that this show was such a big hit, and it was a huge hit, is because of the certain like topics that it broached?
Completely, because it showed a little bit of everything. It gave everybody, again, I keep saying this over and over again, and Brianna said it in here too, it was so relatable. Anybody could watch it and go, that's me, or I know someone like that, or maybe is that me? You know, or was that me? You could look at it, and everybody had a story. Again, I go back to at the ballet. To me, one of the most saddest pieces to me, because each one has their story about their broken homes, basically. And when Homegirl talks about the Indian chief being her, like, so it was her dad, he represented her dad. I always cried until I heard that part of the song. It was just like, I have father issues too, so I know what it feels like. And another one, we were here to save the marriage. And it's like, it's a really sad song. It's a beautiful, sad song, but it really talks about where people can come from, and a lot of us come from broken homes. So there were a lot of themes I just thought completely, it was like, Michael Bennett and them did a great job at the assembly of just diversity and
plus
story.
they're coming from broken homes, and these dancers are their family. You have Paul bust his knee towards the end of the show, and everyone's like rushing forward to help him. Are you okay? And then rushing them out, and then they sing the What I Did for Love.
Yeah, another great song.
Which to me shows like this community, these group of people, they really are a family. And then some of them are like, you know, you have the two characters that are married to each other.
Yes.
So this is where those like broken people find their people. Which
most of us who are performers or who are hosts or actors, we are fine. We're all family. We find.
It's so true. It's so true.
You know, and I recently had something happen in my life that I saw a major part of that, and you were part of that also, of course, and Brianna was too. That it was really a community that came together for me, and I was overwhelmed. But that kind of happens. I think it's what happens. You get in this kind of. First of all, to be in this business, any part of this business is crazy talk.
Yes.
It is an unfeeling, uncaring, obstacle-filled, schizophrenic, crazy business, unstable business.
Yes.
And we've chosen it in some form. We've chosen it, so we're crazy, obviously.
Yes, we are crazy.
I mean, I know I am. I know she is too.
I am for sure.
But you know what I mean? But so this show shows that they had to come together, and they had to become this kind of, they had to become this kind of family, this unit. And a chorus is a unit, because you're a chorus and you're separate, but you're working together.
Yes.
To create whatever it is, the show.
And you really see that in the final number.
Yes.
Speaking of which, Brianna and I have this thing called What's Your Diva Song from this show.
Yes.
So we pick out our song from this show that's our Diva song. Mine is the final number 1, which I love, and it's like so iconic to me. What's your Diva song?
At the ballet.
Oh,
I do.
love it.
You know what I'm saying? It's sad. It's just, I still sing it to this day. It's one of my favorite. it's just a song that I relate to the most. And now with Barbra Streisand with her version, I've been singing it like every other day.
That's awesome.
I just love that song. I just love all the parts. It's just so good.
Let us know what your Diva song
Yes.
is. And let us know if you have a favorite number from Chorus
Yeah,
Line.
totally. Please do. Please tell us or favorite character also. We have a favorite character from there. Some of you guys were saying how one guy was in there said that he's gay and Puerto Rican, so he had two people to root for.
Aww.
So that's kind of great. I like that.
Yeah.
Again, you can watch this and you can pick one person and root for them if you want to, or several and root for them, and see what happens at the end of the chorus line, who makes it.
Yeah, I think at this point I was rooting for Sheila because I love each actress who has played her has got this kind of attitude of like, nah, I've been through this, I've seen all of this, and like it's sad because she doesn't get it in the end. So you have that little.
I was heartbroken.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to tell you, I was like, oh my God, and just the look on her face and how she walks off the stage. It's just like. Brianna says her Diva song is Dance 10 Looks 3. Of course it is. Of course it is.
Dance 10 looks 3.
Yes, I love that song too. But yeah, it's the family you make for yourself. Yes, exactly. But when she doesn't make it, I was like, wow, she doesn't make. There isn't happy endings for everything. That's what this thing shows you too. There's not a happy ending for everything. You can injure yourself. You can not be right for the part. You could be too old. You could be too this. It just.
And you know what's interesting is Brianna asked this question: Do we think that Zach picked Cassie because they were in love in the past? But it seems to me like that Sheila is well known too among this group
very
of
well
people.
known. Yes.
And I've seen that time and time again too, where it's like I mean, yes, there can be preferential casting, or there can be like someone who thinks this friend of mine would be really great for this part. You know, that happens. Yeah. But I do think that a lot of the time, if you're just not right for what they're doing, no matter if that person's your friend, they won't cast you. And that's happened to me. And I don't think it's like I can't hate on that person for saying that like you aren't right for the part, because looking back, I can think, yeah, I wasn't really right for that part.
No, in hindsight, a lot of times I look at things I'm like, yeah, I wasn't really good for that. Okay, got it. I wasn't good at that. Oh, Jazz 41173 says he has two: music and the mirror, and at the ballet.
Aww.
He goes Maggie's part, of course. Yeah, she gets a big crescendo. And a big part.
She does. Yes, she does.
I won't do it for you right now.
So hashtag James Lott Jr. Anything else you'd like to say? Love that.
I just want to say this musical, to me, again, is one of my top 3 musicals of all time in terms of musicals. I have favorite plays, but musical-wise, one of my top 3, because it really does speak to everyone. And it's a great glimpse into just what goes on behind the scenes, and I think you should all go see it whenever you see it anywhere.
And it has some great dance numbers. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. You can check me out on all platforms, 123 Jackie B, or on the Drag Race after show that's coming up at 7 p.m. tonight.
Right.
Pacific time.
And thanks for. I'm glad to be on here with you. I miss hosting with you.
So happy you are here. You have to come back.
I have to come back. I have to come back. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow me on all social media platforms at James Lott Jr. Tonight I have 2 more shows to do on our sister network, AfterBuzz TV. I do the GH reports and I do the Bold Breakdown. Thank you for watching us. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. I don't know what happened to our engineer.
And the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.